Guys, we've got Team Chaser coverage as the investigation continues into the horrific crash that took a life and injured more than 100 people in Hoboken on Thursday. We've got Diana Blass with the governor, but I want to start with Tamara. Tamara, you caught up with one of the survivors on the train. What do you got?
He was a passenger who was actually in the first car sitting behind the engineer's box. Tahir Qureshi survived not only this crash, but he was also a survivor of 9/11. I went to his house in New Milford to speak with him. He didn't want to go on camera. He's still recovering from some minor injuries. He allowed me to take some pictures and ask him some questions. I asked him if there was anything different about this ride as opposed to every other time that he had ridden this same route into work. He said what was different was that the door was open. He said normally the engineers, they're locked in that little room, and there was a clear view of the tracks. I was actually appreciating the scenery as we were going down the tracks. They were approaching the station at the normal speed, and then he stood up and he put his bag over his shoulder. He said, just as I stood up, there was a huge explosion. Basically, the whole roof had collapsed, and I was on the floor, lodged underneath. I asked him, after going through this, is he hesitant to ride the train again? And he said no, because this was an accident. He'll be back on the train on Monday. I just can't imagine surviving both those things.
He's either incredibly lucky or incredibly unlucky. First-hand witness to history. All right, thanks, Tamara. Diana, you were with Governor Christie covering his statements about the tragedy in Hoboken.
Right, so New Jersey Governor Christie gave us a little update on the investigation, which he says won't be completed for another 7 to 10 days because investigators right now can't even get into the Hoboken station.
Not safe for anybody to be in those trains right now doing an investigation until we clear that away and all of the hanging wires.
There's been some criticism over maintenance and safety. He says these sorts of accidents are actually very rare for New Jersey Transit.
They have a very good safety record, but no accident is acceptable. And so we have to get to the bottom of what happened, and I promise you that we will.
This governor and his administration have been sitting on for years recommendations from the federal government about upgrading safety measures and brakes on these trains. They actually got the federal government to push back the deadline to 2018 because NJ Transit was too incompetent and too inefficient to install the recommendations when they came through. Now, we don't know that this is what caused this accident. But honestly, you'd think the governor would be as angry as the rest of us looking for answers.
Well, not only that, Governor Christie would appoint the New Jersey Transit head, and they haven't had a head for almost a year. They haven't had a board meeting in the past 3 months, and they have a $4 million budget gap that they haven't even addressed.
What I'd like to see is, I think you ought to dig into this a little bit more. What kind of incompetence and inefficiency is going on in NJ Transit that they haven't had a board, that they don't have a functioning governing body, that these guys can't seem to get out of their own way? To me, the answer lies somewhere in there.